Greetings, my fellow patriots. Well, I got some disturbing news this time. Again, it's north of the Mason-Dixon line. This time it's out of New Jersey. Tonight, on the phone, I am going to have a student from New Jersey, and I'm going to show you his picture right now on my computer. If you're looking at this picture right now, this is the young man that I'm going to be talking with in a few seconds here, just to give you a background of what we're talking about. If you notice his jacket, he has on the left side, right above his heart, a patch. That patch is a 3%er patch. Okay, look at it real good, because that is the subject of tonight's live stream. I believe, and he'll confirm, that we may be the first to do this, but I believe you're going to hear more of him. If you people can help get this out to your news departments, news agencies, Fox News, everyone needs to become aware of this. The patch on his shirt, or jacket I should say, cool jacket by the way, is, in fact, I'd like to get one for myself. But he was told by a school by the name of Grice in New Jersey, which is located in Hamilton, New Jersey, and we're going to give the phone numbers and names out for that school, that he was told that he could not wear that jacket. And why? Well, because they said that the 3% emblem is a terrorist organization. They called the 3%er movement a terrorist organization. And the school policy says that you cannot wear terrorist emblems to school. Well, I am a 3%er. Many of you are 3%ers as well. Now, he also has another patch on it that they said was the name of a bomb. That patch said Molan Abe, which is Latin for take it back. Okay? I have advised the father, who we're going to also speak with in a minute, and the student, which is on the phone with me right now, on my speakerphone. I advised him to not comply. Not comply. Why? Because it's never wrong to do the right thing. Okay? And I hope this man is courageous enough to get kicked out of school if necessary, because this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Because the 3% movement is not a designated terrorist organization. Okay? It is not a terrorist organization. So without further ado, enough of me running my mouth. I want to introduce the young man. I only found out about this in the last hour through my Facebook. And by the way, this video I hope to post on my YouTube, which is freedomfighterradio.com. I used to do podcasts for 10 years, but I gave that up, and because everybody likes, we're more of a visual society. So without further ado, let me introduce the young man. And hello Elizabeth, hello Daniel, and John, Matthew, and many of you other people. If you all, when you hear him speak, if you could let me know if you hear him clearly, because this is the best I can do. And why don't you introduce yourself, young man?
My name is Scott Farver Jr. I am in 7th grade, and I was wearing a vest to school that had 2 3%er patches on it, and they told me that I could not wear it because it represents a terrorist group. One of the patches has Moab written on it, and they took it the wrong way and said that it stood for Mother of All Bombs.
Well, obviously, they are not familiar with their Latin, because that's not what it means. So they told you what? That what would happen if you return to school with the jacket? Did they tell you the consequence of what would happen if you return to school with this jacket?
No, they told me just not to wear it again.
Well, And again, why don't you give us the name of your school and Where in the town?
It is Grice Middle School, 901 White Horse, Hamilton Square Road, Hamilton, New Jersey, 08610.
And the name of the school is, again?
Grice Middle School.
Now, let me ask you, and again, your first name was, because we just met an hour ago. Go ahead.
Scott.
Scott. To you first, and then your father, what does the 3% emblem mean to you?
It means that it's a patriotic group that follows by the Second Amendment of the United States of America and the Bible and defends the Constitution.
Well, I'm going to, do you have any plans to return to the school with the jacket?
Yes.
Good. I hope you do. I hope you do. And are you allowed cell phones in your school? Do they allow cell phones in your school?
No.
They don't allow cell phones. Oh, too bad. Well, listen. What you need to, before you go to school that morning when you return, make sure you take a picture, maybe standing in front of an American flag, because I want to encourage you to stand up for our freedom, because I want to commend you being 13 years old and be courageous, because the men and women in uniform have risked their lives, and many have died, so that we can have our right to peacefully express ourselves as well. So when you were told to turn it out, tell me about that day. What happened? Where were you, and how were you approached about the jacket?
Well, the day that it happened, I walked into school. Everything was fine. It happened towards the end of the day, at the sort of the last day of the day. They called me down to the office. I went into the guidance council office, and they told me that I could not wear the jacket because it has the Moab, and they searched it up. And
they did what now?
They searched it up, and they found out that another page was the wrong way they were putting it towards, and they took it the wrong way with the mother of all bombs.
Well, and by the way, my fellow fugitive recovery agent, I do bounty hunting, Agent Greeno, he's got a reality show coming on. He's going to probably be in contact with you as well. Outlaw Morgan, John Matthew Wingfield. Outlaw Morgan, have Outlaw Morgan contact me. John Matthew Wingfield, send me his the number, and I'll be in contact. Well, the school now, this area that you live in, is it a highly liberal area with a few patriots like you and your family, or I mean, was it like a Hillary? Is it Hillary territory? Is it Trump?
It's more of a Hillary.
That explains it. That explains it. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at a lot of comments. You may be looking at them now during the live stream. That let's see. Elizabeth says the Tupelo American Patriot 2% and veterans are going to stand with you. You're going to be very surprised, Scott, that you're going to get a tremendous amount of support on this, okay? But don't let it get to your head, and I want you to really, okay, I'm just seeing people are commenting all over about this, Scott. We're going to send you, I'm going to send you and your father, next week, I'm going to send you a polo-style yellow Don't Tread on Me shirt. It's going to have the yellow snake embroidered on the chest. I may have a few hats. I might send you some joiner dye hats, which is that I'm wearing right here. It's a Patriot flag, one of the original flags of the Patriot movement. And I'm going to send you a Don't Tread on Me flag, and I think I might even have some Don't Tread on Me patches that you can maybe find a place on your jacket or your cut-off jean jacket to put some yellow Don't Tread on Me patches. So what kind of response, what's your friend saying about this?
basically they're just like backing down about it. They don't want they really don't want to get into it. They're sort of like afraid of it, of what the consequences are going to be. But my side on it is there's Muslims in my school, and they're allowed to wear their hats and their
hijabs and Islamic clothes. The hijab, right? The girls with the head things, right?
Yes. Teachers. And teachers.
You have teachers that wear hijabs?
Yes, there is a guidance counselor.
Well, that kind of explains part of the problem, because the Islamic community, they feel threatened by those of us that are going to stand for the Constitution, because it's their goal to, their ultimate goal, their long-term goal is to overturn the Constitution and replace it with Sharia law. Wow. Well, you definitely have a case. I want to encourage you to defy them, but do it civilly. I mean, don't have to get rude or, but, be peaceful, but non-compliant about this. Because here's the thing, Scott. Free speech, if it goes, our whole society goes. It's a pressure relief valve. They want to control us, and we can't give into this liberal crap as well. Again, someone wants to know if you're old enough to vote. If you were old enough to vote, who would you have voted for?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Okay, great. And don't let them micromanage you or your stuff. It's time for you, Scott, to put them into place. Make them run to their safe places, and maybe you might want to bring them a can of Play-Doh or a coloring book for them as well, because we're not going to give in. Many people, Scott, I'm looking right now, they're huge. Norma Castro saying huge hugs to this young man and his awesome dad, too. Wow, you're getting support. And is your father there? May I speak with him, Scott? We'll come back to you.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Scott Carver, Sr., Scott Jr.'s dad.
Great. Well, Mr. Carver, your son has a desire to wear it to school. You're his father, which means you're his. You're legally responsible for him as a minor. Where do you stand about your son returning to school with this jacket as his father?
I stand by him all the way. I believe in the 3%ers, and I know that they're Bible-based and the Constitution, and I agree with him. He should be allowed to wear it.
Now, have you served in the military or at any point? I'm just curious.
No, I have not, but my father-in-law has.
And is your father-in-law, is he aware of the situation concerning your son?
Yes, he is.
And what's your father-in-law, who's a veteran, what's he say about this?
He agrees wholeheartedly about it. He agrees Scotty should go to school with it. And in fact, last week, I believe it was, we went to school to drop off some paperwork for Scotty because he was out of school sick. And he wore his Legion vest with the 3%er patch and all that on there, and they never said a word.
And do you happen to have, I'll pull it up here, let me close my window here. Do you happen to know the name of the individual that told your son not to wear the 3%er jacket at Grice Middle School in Hamilton, New Jersey?
No, I do not. I know that the principal had called me because Junior wore the Moab backpack with Moab written on the back of it, and he's the one that told me that they don't believe in violence or anything, and that represents violence and terrorism, and there's no tolerance policy on that, and he wasn't allowed to wear the backpack.
Well, what's really interesting is the 3%er emblem in the Molanabe do not depict or advocate violence. It just means take it back. And I I believe that this is a very easy case to win in a court, because I would advise you to go to the school, to meet with the principal and the counselor. If you have a family attorney, bring him. If not, bring someone with you as a eyewitness, and ask them if they can show you any documentation or give you the proof that the 3% movement is a terrorist organization that they claim. Because it's really ironic that they're calling the 3%ers, which I and many of my friends are, calling us terrorists, when you have Black Lives Matter leaders calling for the death of law enforcement. In fact, I saw that Walmart may be selling Black Lives Matter shirts in some of their stores I've seen. I'm waiting to verify that. When you have Black Lives Matter burning buildings, and the president, people, is not willing to designate an organization that has engaged in violence on a weekly basis, terrorists, but the 3%ers, which is comprised of people like you, your son, me, and many veterans, and I've served in the uniform as well.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, only a couple years as a cop, but my father's a 3-time non-vet. My brother's an Iraqi vet, but I appreciate your gratitude. So, how about the mother? This isn't causing any friction in your family, is it?
No. Me and my wife are currently separated at the moment, but she agrees with it too. I just talked to her on the phone about an hour ago and told him he was going to be on live, and she agreed to that too. She said yes, he should be allowed to wear it.
Absolutely. And if you people that are streaming this, if you have any questions that you would like me to ask Scott Sr. or Scott Jr., please put it up there as soon as possible as well.
Excuse me, I'd like to put out there too that Scotty is a son of the American Legion member.
Oh, wow.
And with his grandfather and his godfather, Lee Dixon, and his godmother, Christina Dixon.
Wow. And here's the thing, too. Russell Orr is saying any form of government or organization that passes any law or rule that is unconstitutional, we are obligated by law to disobey it. And that was Thomas Jefferson. American Legion, that's really interesting, because have you thought about maybe contacting the American Legion about this incident, about what's happening here at Grice Middle School?
No, I didn't, but I'm thinking about it now.
Okay, well, good. We're brainstorming live. How's that? And
yeah.
I would contact the American Legion. I would contact Fox and Friends, because you know what? Fox and Friends may want to pick this up. And of course, I'm kind of excited that I was able to break something that is an awesome story of a young man who's one of our future leaders. And I say leaders because one day we're going to be senior citizens, which is around the corner for me. But that's going to be, that we're going to be having to depend on. So, yeah, check out with the American Legion. I would also, Elizabeth Todd she says she's American Legion here in Tupelo, Mississippi. I want to encourage all you people that are watching this video live or that are watching the archive of this to please contact me, and I will help coordinate at my end how we can get this story out, because this needs to get out. Scott, I'm going to pause here for a moment, and I'm going to give some information out, phone numbers, which will be posted in the description of the school, if people would like to call the school. Now, before I give these numbers out, please, people, do not resort to threats. Do not resort to vulgarity. You can strongly object. You can call them commies or whatever, but do not threaten, please. Let's be an example. of what the 3% movement is. A constitutionally and biblically based patriot movement to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So with that being said, I will now give the number out. And this is for Hamilton, New Jersey, Grice Middle, that's Grice. The numbers are area code 609-631-4152. Again, let me give that number out. 609-631-4152. The fax number is 609-631-4119. With that, you can fax from Office Depot, Office Max, Kinko's, if you don't have your own fax machine. Now, I'm going to give some more phone numbers out. I'm going to give the phone number out to the guidance counselor. And Scott, before I give that number out, tell us again how the guidance counselors connected to this censorship of free speech, which the Supreme Court has stated in the past that a student's right of free speech does not end at the school door, provided it does not cause a disruption or disturbance. Wearing a patch is not causing a disturbance just because they think it's a terrorist organization, which it is not. So again, Scott Sr., can you tell us the guidance counselor of this school, her involvement in the censorship of saying that the 3% movement is a terrorist organization? Can you share that again before I give her number out?
Yes. They said it is a terrorist group organization, and they have there's a zero tolerance policy in the school for such stuff like this.
So with that being said, and people cold weather, you can tell them when you call that I saw this video on this guy in Georgia, Facebook, and it will be on YouTube. The guidance counselor is 631-4152, but excuse me, it's the area code on that is 609. So that is 609-631-4152, and the extension is 3504. Now the principal's name is Dr. David Innocenzi. Sounds like an Italian name, and your son, no problem, because I have a lot of great Italian friends in New Jersey. You guys are Italian. Ancestry is Italian, I take it, right?
No, not me, no.
Okay, well, your son looks Italian, you know?
Yeah, I know some Italian people.
Yeah, well, you know what? I have a good friend of mine that's about 30 minutes from where you're talking right now, and I plan to make a visit up there, possibly in the spring after the holidays. When I do, we'll have to hit up and go have a good Italian meal. The vice principal is Mr. Rashaan. Is that a Muslim?
I believe so.
The name is Islamic.
Yes. I think that's one of them, yes.
And does he wear Islamic clothing or Islamic emblems?
Does he?
There's a guidance counselor. I believe he's one too. I'm not really there with. I never really see the vice principal that much, but I have seen him wear like tuxedos and stuff. But that's about it. But the one guidance counselor is like she wears. It's a girl. She wears a dress, the towel on her head, and so.
I mean, I often wonder what would happen if you took a Quran, and I'm not telling you to do it, and you blew your nose, and you have a coat, and you just rip a page out of the Quran, and you blew your nose in it. But let's take care of the 3%er problem first. Again, if you're just now streaming, we've been talking with the Carver family, Scott Sr. and Scott Jr. Carver. 13-year-old out of Grice Middle School. We gave the phone numbers out. They will be in the video description. told he could not wear his 3%er jacket to school because it is a terrorist organization. Muslims are behind this, and Islamic. I'm saying Muslims are behind this because there's, based on your conversation, guys, there's Muslims in the position of authority in the school.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. So, what would happen if you wore a Donald Trump hat to school?
I don't know. I don't think they would really say anything about that because that's not promoting terrorism to them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I got kicked out of Golden Corral here in Georgia for wearing a shirt that, well, on Thanksgiving Day, and the following day they called the police on me, and I got the 911 call posted on my Facebook page on a video because I had the middle finger, and underneath it said Black Lives Matter, and they kicked me out of their Golden Corral. As a former cop, I have a real problem with cop killers, and so yeah, Golden Corral has kicked me out. So I've experienced censorship as well. Scott Sr., is your son going to be going to school tomorrow? Because I know Christmas is coming up, or is it next week when they return to school?
He goes back January 3rd.
January 3rd. So there will be no one in the school offices this week then, Mr. Carver?
Yeah, he should be there tomorrow.
Okay, great. Just for the people listening, so that they can send faxes and phone calls as well. And I'm going to ask, excuse me 1 minute, Mr. Carver, for you people that are streaming, and many of you are, can you all, anybody comment if you have plans to call the school about what you've been hearing tonight? Can anyone let me know if you're going to call the school tomorrow about this and spread the word about this school saying that the 3% movement is a terrorist organization where a student is not allowed to wear a jacket with a 3% patch. Anybody on there that can tell me? Okay, I know Elizabeth, you are, and I'm just trying to watch the streaming on here. So please, people, call the school. Don't be afraid. You're not going to get arrested for sharing your thoughts. Stand up for the 3%, people, because what we allow is what will continue. And what we don't stand against, people, is what we're standing for.
Excuse me a minute. My son's godmother, Christina Dixon, said she will be making a phone call to the school tomorrow as well, and so will the godfather, Lee Dixon.
Awesome.
They friend requested you, but they can't make a comment on your thing for some reason. They said unless you accept this friend request.
Well, yeah, and tell them I will accept their friend requests tonight when we're done with this video. And people, share this video. Share this video. And get the word out. Let's get the word out. And any final words you want to let me know, Mr. Carver? And I want to do a follow-up next year. Or feel free to call me anytime. You got my personal cell phone. Give me updates, anything, any developments, like if somehow Fox or somebody picks this up, let me know so I can watch it and say, hey, man, I talked to those guys. So and before you give your final word, how did we end up talking or meeting? Because we've never talked before tonight. How did this all come about tonight?
I have reached out to different people about this, and I had noticed on your what is it? No, not the Facebook page. YouTube account. I was watching you on YouTube, and I decided to chime in then when you were doing your last live stream.
Okay. I know I'm a little bit radical, but I'm not I support blue lives, people. Blue lives, the Constitution. We're going to make America great again, and it's because of the president-elect and young men like your son and patriot families like the Carvers. So any final words that you would like to say, and then maybe put your son on if he'd like to say something to everybody? Go ahead, Mr. Carver.
Well, I would like to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and pray for our troops that are fighting for our right, freedom of speech, and that's it. I appreciate all the comments and the backing up of us and our beliefs, and I thank you all.
And stay in touch with me, Mr. Carver. Please stay in touch. I'm gonna add you to my contacts, and I'm gonna check with you in a few days on any, not during Christmas, next week, because Christmas is coming up, and I want to, I know it's busy, but I want to hear back from you next week as well.
Okay.
And how about your son, Scott Jr.? Scott Jr., does he have any words that he would like to say?
I like to thank our troops for their service. I like to thank you for your service as a police officer. And I also want to add on to thanking the Second Amendment MC for backing me up on this, too.
And I am going to, I don't know if I can get a hold of him. I have a friend of mine with Gun Owners of America. His name is Larry Pratt. Have you heard of Gun Owners of America?
No.
Okay. Larry Pratt has a podcast and a radio show that's on regular radio stations across the country, syndicated. And it's gunowners.org. I'm going to reach out to Larry tomorrow. If his office is closed, that means I'll be forced to call him next week. I can almost guarantee we can get you on Larry Pratt's national radio show as well, because his show focuses not only on the Second Amendment, but his show, Gun Owners Radio, focuses on the First Amendment and the threats to our Constitution. And I've known Larry for over 10 years. He's a personal friend of mine. I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow and tell him about this, and I give him the link to this video so he can hear you, and I'll let you know if he's interested, and then I'll be contacting you, Mr. Carver.
Okay.
Well, again, I want to thank you and your son. Stand strong, and as Captain America said, plant yourself like a tree along the river of truth. Don't be moved, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
God bless you, and thank you for your